Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Circle Up and Get Real, where we talk about things that matter with people who matter. And the people who matter today are you who are listening, either live or later. As you know, when I do my podcast episodes that I don't have guests for, I go live on Facebook. I tried it on YouTube once, and I didn't quite figure out the things that I figured out by doing it on Facebook. So I need to, try that again at some point. But what happens is I will go live and I have an idea or a thought or a question or a prompt. And then in the best case scenario, people would be watching and they would put comments in the chat and we could engage with other people live. And then you listen to it later on the podcast or the video that I upload to YouTube. So, all of that to say that today I was thinking about a concept. And by the way, I do have a guest for next week. I will be recording it later today, but I wouldn't have time to put it up. And I wanted to put up an episode this week because I hate it when I miss weeks. So, my idea today is about legacy. And the reason I'm talking about or thinking about that started yesterday with my furnace issue at home. And the company I chose to use is called Legacy Plumbing and Heating. And they did a fantastic job. I was pleased with everything. Of course, you never want to have to pay money to have something repaired. It would be great if everything just lasted forever. And they gave me a quote, and the quote was $300 less, or the quote was $300 more than the actual cost. So I mean, just so many good things from that. And I love that their company is called Legacy. So then I started thinking about legacy. And that was in my mind yesterday. And then this morning, when I was driving to the office, I was listening to a radio talk or call-in radio show. And the question they were talking about the upcoming Super Bowl this weekend. And they started talking about um, athletes and actors and people that are in the public eye and whether or not their award eligibility for the industry they are in, sports or, acting, should be affected by their political or religious values or ideals. And they said it was interesting because they could give examples of people who have been, their careers have been affected by their values, I guess, by their opinions, and some who haven't. And so it's really curious to me why some industries would judge and some industries wouldn't. And that just got me thinking about legacy and about what kind of legacy we all want to leave. So it's way more fun when other people are engaged in this. And I know I have a few people watching right now. So if you have any ideas about that or thoughts about that, or you can add something to this conversation, I would love that. I think what happens, at least in my observation, it seems that people are hesitant to say something in public because we are so um, I was going to say damaged. That's really that's really heavy, but we are so affected by past experiences where people, I'm going to call it, threw gotcha bombs at us, where people are, it seems they're trolling in comments so that they can catch us when we say something wrong or when we make a mistake. And so, or if we say something that later we get more information about and we decide we want to change our minds, boy, people are all over that. Well, you said this. How come you changed your mind? Um, in my experience of living, that's where the best conversations happen when people say, I used to think this, I got more information, I learned more, and I changed my mind. If we haven't changed, we haven't learned. And for me, it's all about learning. That's just me. I get that's just me, but I don't think that's just me. I think there are people out there who would agree with that point of view. And I was reading somebody's Substack this morning. I subscribed to someone, and she was saying she interviewed someone who, in a political conversation, didn't want to be named because of the fear of retaliation. And that's where we are. So here we are, everyone. We are afraid to say anything. We are afraid to share our opinions because there are so many people who it seems their job is to throw darts and to, I guess they call that trolling, right? Trolls who come on and maybe don't use their real names or they go on anonymous. And And I get it. I get why that would be. I get that we're in this age of a lack of psychological safety. And so my question is, what do I want our legacies to be when we are no longer living on the earth in this form? What do we want people to say about us? I think back to three examples I can think of. One is Colin Kaepernick, and you can have an opinion about this however you want. He had a belief, and he took action, and it cost him his football career. I think the same sort of happened for Tim Tebow, but it could have been, more than what I know. But he had really strong religious beliefs, and he stated them, and it seems that um, his career, I haven't seen him on the football field, but it could be more than that. There could be more to the story. And then I'm thinking about uh, Al Franken and how he made a bad decision, and a picture was posted, and it cost him his political career because he resigned. And I wonder if the situation were with Al Franken what the world is now, if he would have had to resign and leave his career. And so all of these things are really curious to me, and I'm wondering if anybody else has an opinion about that. And again, this is well, it's public, I get it, but it's a safe space, and I would hope that people would feel safe to share. Um, I'm going first in that, and I know very well there will be people out there who want to throw shade at me and want to, I don't know. I have people who are thinking they're educating me on things that I am posting these days, and it's fine. I welcome that. Show me. I'm open. And I think it's really interesting how I will kind of go back. I will come back because I'm interested in dialogue. As you know, if you know anything about this podcast or about me, I'm very interested in dialogue, which to me means we suspend our previous assumptions in order to learn from each other. And that's very distinct from discussion, which is about the percussion of the conversations. And debate, debate has a specific way of being in a debate. And I think I didn't take debate in high school, or I don't know, the ins and outs of that, but it occurs to me that you have a side and you defend that side no matter what you believe deep down when you're learning about how to debate. And so I don't, in my observation, there isn't a lot of listening to adjust in a debate. There's more of a listening to defend. And that's okay. I'm not judging any of this. I'm just saying there are specific experiences or specific situations where you might want to use different communication tools. Discussion and dialogue are very distinct to me, and debate. And there would be times when they would be necessary, I think. I have a friend who I've just recently met who is fighting hard for her daughter's health condition, and she is, oh, I just admire her pluck and her grit and her determination, because for her it's a matter of life and death for her daughter, and she will stand for her daughter no matter what. She will say things that other people don't want to hear. She goes to the legislature and she advocates for her cause, and I really respect and admire that, in spite of the fact that it may or may not work, meaning it may or may not get the political powers that be to change a position or a policy. So politics is really fascinating to me in that way, because boy, you really do need to be in debate mode, don't you? There's not a whole lot of room for any kind of dialogue, it seems to me, in the political scene we find ourselves these days. And I wish it were possible to have dialogues even in that setting. I am, I have my opinions. I do. I have my opinions, and my opinions are overshadowed by my values in some ways, because my value of connection, communication, and collaboration is stronger than my need to be right about things. And although there are some opinions about which I feel that I'm right, I mean, I guess that's what an opinion is, yet I'm willing to let other people have their opinions, because what's most important to me is connection. So that is my value. And I wonder how much of our lives, when we think about, the end of our lives at our legacy point, if we're thinking about what kind of difference we made in the world or who we affected or what we are leaving behind, how many of us are considering that? That's a pretty big question, and it can be a pretty daunting thing to take on. But those are the kinds of topics and subjects that I love having dialogues about. Because to me, anything that advances my ability to see people in a different light or to um, expand my empathy, to understand people better, to be more effective in the work I'm doing, I'm all about that. So I watch people who are really, this is an opinion, but who are really mean in their ways of communicating with each other. I look at that in leadership circles. I look at that, and again, a lot of this is online, or a lot of this is, witnessing whatever has been edited by whoever wants to edit to give a point of view and a perspective that will allow them to be right. I get it. There's a lot that I'm not seeing, I'm sure. And it seems so much that people are, I'm going to use my terminology from 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership again, but people are below the line way more often than they're above the line, in my observation. And I'm going to thank Jim Detmer, Diana Chapman, and Kaylee Warner Klemp again for this book, because that simple way of seeing things above the line and below the line has been so helpful for me. And it helps me get out of my judgy mode and to see who people are showing me they are. And when I have, even online, even in the comment section, when I have interactions with people who are saying things like, you just don't know, Jodee, you just don't know. I can't believe you're that gullible. Or making a judgment about the way I'm being without ever asking me how I came to my opinion, that's showing me something. Because what I'm more interested in is, how did you come to that perspective? Let's talk about that. Help me understand how it is that you see the world and you're this strong in your belief. I'm curious about that, because I don't share that in some cases. I don't share that this is the right way to do things. Now, again, I may have an opinion. I may believe that this is the way it, and I hate to say should, but should be done. Yet I'm more curious than I am convicted in that way. And so my curiosity wins out when I am so fascinated to find out, what is it that had you believe that so strongly? And my friend, who I was telling you about, who is advocating for her daughter's health, man, I understand completely, since she's told me her story, how it is that um, she is so strong in her ability to continue to share her perspective about that, despite the fact that in many cases it doesn't seem like she's making a difference, but she is. She is. Um, when people feel very strongly about a stand for something, that carries with it energy. When people feel very strongly about a fight against something, that also carries a lot of energy. And it's just fascinating to me to observe which causes me to feel like I want to join in their cause, and which causes me to feel that I need to get defensive because I feel I'm being offended against. I get how I used to do that without being conscious of it. I used to feel defensive a lot, but I wasn't aware that I was feeling defensive. So there's something in the back behind, like what causes this, that has helped me see that, oh, okay, this is an area where I'm doubling down because I don't feel safe, or because blah, 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 whatever the reason is for it. And at some point, I believe that I want to get beyond the reasons I'm stuck in something and move toward the possibility that there could be another way to see it. I tell you all this today in this episode because, one, legacy is important, I think. I want to know from you and from everybody, what do you see your legacy being? What do you prefer your legacy would be? Those are questions that I'll throw out there, and I'm hopeful that somebody might put something in a comment at some point. And I'm also hopeful that when you interact with me, whether it's live or later, whether it's online or wherever it is, I would hope that you can count on me to hold space safe and open. Not that I am going to be able to do that all the time, because I think there are people who, you know, don't know any better and they will violate some of those conditions and standards. But you can count on me to, at least as much as I can, create safe spaces. Because, in my opinion, again, opinion, psychological safety is the most important aspect of dialogue. If you do not feel safe, you will not engage. And I told you earlier about the Substack today, who I was watching the Substack, who said, I want to share this information with you and know right up front that the person whose interview I'm giving you did not want to be identified for fear of retaliation. So some people will look at that and say, well, I don't trust it then because it's an anonymous source. Totally get it. I started my career in journalism. I totally get it. And wouldn't it be awesome if everybody felt safe enough to be able to use their names when saying, this is what I observed, this is what I witnessed, this was my perspective, this was how I saw it. And I think we get mixed up with this is how I saw it and this is how it is. I think we get those two things mixed up. And there's so much more to this than this podcast episode will allow. Yet, if we're not willing to go there and at least create the spaces for these kinds of dialogues to happen, I think what we're going to learn, because we'll do it over and over again, is to be quiet, is to shut our mouths. We'll learn that the bullies win. We'll learn that when you have a louder voice, you get heard. We'll learn a lot of things that aren't necessarily the most effective for whatever result we truly desire. Because if we truly desire a result of open communication and we're not willing to go first in having that open communication, then we find ourselves in ruts. We find ourselves in spaces we don't want to be in. We start getting resentful. We start getting apologetic in some ways. We start getting judgmental because we've been practicing it for so long. We haven't had opportunities to practice true connection. So the event that I'm hosting again for the third year, Chill Out 2025, is going to have a different format. And the different format is encouraging people to have dialogues instead of only listening to one speaker, which was great. I mean, I loved that event the first 2 years. And I'm going a different direction this year with the belief that this can be pretty monumental for people who participate, and also knowing it could backfire. And people might say, why am I paying money to come to this thing where I'm not going to be able to hear from somebody else? That's not true. You are going to be able to hear from many people. It's just that you're not all sitting in the same room listening to the same person necessarily. So there are a lot more opportunities to share your perspective in a safe space and to learn some things like listening, the power of your listening space that provides an opportunity for whoever is speaking to become a better speaker. You will feel that. You will experience that at this event. An opportunity to work out some of your own opinions with a friendly audience. An opportunity to say things perhaps like, this is what I'm thinking now, I'm not quite sure that this is the whole story. And you'll have an opportunity to put that idea out into the universe and have feedback live. You'll have an opportunity to learn a whole bunch of things that you wouldn't have been able to learn had we done the event the way we've done it in the past, which was, I think, 5 or so presentations. And then the conversations were rich and amazing after that. I'm hopeful that this will provide even more in that space. So you can learn communication skills by actually communicating. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited for me. Maybe it's because I want this for myself that I'm creating this to be the way we do this event this year. And this may be the last one. I don't know. Maybe nobody will come. Maybe I don't know. I am encouraged by the people who have already registered and the people who are seeing this as something they really want to be part of. And so if you are hearing this live or later and you're curious about Chill Out, you can go to chilloutfargo.com and get a little bit more information. There is an investment of time and money. It is just what it is. And I would ask all of us to think, me included, if you want to know what's really, really important to you, what you value most, look at your checkbook and your calendar. How do you spend your time and your money? And if you want to practice um, that evidence, if you want to practice putting your money and time where your mouth is, this would be a great event to do that. Um, okay, that's it. I don't know what else to say about that. Thank you for those of you who've been watching. Um, Consider that there are spaces besides the ones you see the most evidently. There are spaces like this one. There are spaces like our Get Real Circle, which is a private Facebook page. There are spaces out there, if you're looking for them, where you will have kindness and opportunity to learn in dialogue. They're out there. You just have to look for them. And I'm doing my best. I don't know everything. I don't know how to get the word out, which is evident from my 5 years of this podcast. And I think I have 60 followers on YouTube. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to get the word out about how these kinds of spaces do exist. So if you have any ideas about that, I'm wide open. Our Monday Enlightened Leadership Lab, we'd love to grow that because that's a space where people have the opportunity to share this kind of space in a realm of leadership, which we define as people who are willing to go first. It doesn't mean you have a title, position, whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It means that you see something and you want to go first. We have a space for that. So they're out there. I'll leave it at that. They're out there. The spaces you're looking for are out there. The people you're looking for are out there. You just have to take action and move in that direction. My book, Just Give a Shit, is out now. If you want more information about that, you can go to Amazon, which is the easiest way to get it, or from me. I have many of them. I'd be happy to send one to you. Again, not sure how to get the word out about those things. I'll count on you who are listening live or later to help me with that. And with that, as always, just go get real. Get real. Step into your own values. Determine for yourself what kind of legacy you truly want to leave to your family and your friends and your communities. What do you want to see? What do you want people to see when they think of you? Are you leaving the world better than you found it? Are you aware of that? Is that even interesting to you? All of those are things to consider. So thanks for being with me today. Go get real. We'll talk again. Bye.